We're now going to talk about chapter 4, Captured. You're going to get captured in this forest, and I'm going to show you a few possibilities. You're also going to complete an assignment looking at how writers talk about scary plants and getting captured, and get a few ideas for how you can describe this experience. After you've been captured, you're going to be taken to a prison cell, and that is essentially the adventure for chapter 4. So let's find out about a couple of scary trees that capture people in other books. And the first one comes from Harry Potter, The Whomping Willow. Ron gasped, staring through the windscreen, and Harry looked around just in time to see a branch as big as a python smash into it. The tree they had hit was attacking them. Its trunk was bent almost double, and its gnarled boughs were pummeling every inch of the car it could reach. "Ah!" said Ron, as another twisted limb punched a large dent into his door. The windscreen was now trembling under a hail of blows from knuckle-like twigs, and a branch as thick as a battering ram was pounding furiously on the roof, which seemed to be caving in. Now, there's a few descriptions in this piece which help us to see the tree as something that's alive, and the main thing is describing parts of the tree as though they're parts of a body. So, for example, people have limbs rather than trees. Your legs and your arms are your limbs, but we're talking about the trees having limbs. We're also talking about the fact that it's punching and pummeling and giving blows. And again, that's something a human being might do. But the Whomping Willow isn't the only willow in books which can threaten human beings. Lord of the Rings has another willow tree, Old Man Willow it's called, that captures Frodo, and Sam has to try and pull him out from the roots as hard as he possibly can. He lifted his heavy eyes and saw leaning over him a huge willow tree. Enormous it looked, its sprawling branches going up like reaching arms with many long-fingered hands, its knotted and twisted trunk gaping in wide fissures that creaked faintly as the boughs moved. The leaves fluttering against the bright sky dazzled him, and he toppled over, lying where he fell against the grass. Merry and Pippin dragged themselves forward and lay down with their backs to the willow tree. Behind them, great cracks gaped wide to receive them as the tree swayed and creaked. They looked up at the grey and yellow leaves, moving softly against the light and singing. They shut their eyes, and then it seemed they could almost hear words, cool words, saying something about water and sleep. They gave themselves up to the spell and fell fast asleep at the foot of the great grey willow. And once again, you've probably noticed that the willow tree is described as having reaching arms with long-fingered hands to make it feel as though it's alive in some way. They went round the other side of the tree, and then Sam understood the click he had heard. Pippin had vanished. The crack by which he had laid himself had closed together so that not a chink could be seen. Merry was trapped. Another crack had closed about his waist. His legs lay outside, but the rest of him was inside a dark opening, the edges of which gripped like a pair of pincers. Frodo and Sam beat first upon the tree trunk where Pippin had lain. They then struggled frantically to pull open the jaws of the crack that held poor Merry. It was quite useless. So we have the picture of one hobbit, Pippin, who has vanished entirely inside the tree, and Merry, who is halfway in, and they're trying to pull on his legs, but with no success. Now, in The Lord of the Rings, the hobbits do manage to escape from the tree, but I don't want this to happen in your story. You get yourself stuck somehow, and you're going to get picked up by a bunch of killer robots and taken to their castle. I'd like you to think about at this point, which tree seems scarier, the Whomping Willow, batters and punches and has blows. Old Man Willow, very quiet, seems to sing, seems to say cool words. Which do you personally find more sinister? The quiet tree that lures you in and captures you, or the one that is clearly out to batter you to bits right from the start? Totally up to you to make your choice when you're writing the story. And it's not just trees. Here are some great pictures that I found on the internet of real life carnivorous plants. That means plants that eat meat. Now, normally this would be insects, but look what you can see in this plant, feathers. It's eaten a little bird. And here's one that's managed to grab an insect, and there's no way that insect is getting out again. And here's a particularly fabulous picture. We've got a plant that has actually managed to swallow a mouse. Somebody is pulling the mouse out, so you can see it seems to have lost quite a lot of its hair. That plant has got started on it already. So if you want to create a great big man-eating plant that you can fall into and get sucked up, that's absolutely fine. It's obviously going to have to be an awful lot bigger than the ones I'm showing you here, but that just might get your imaginations going. Now, when you get captured, you also need to think about your pets. Do your pets manage to escape? Because if so, they can maybe help you later. Do they get captured as well? Particularly the bigger ones, if you've got the raven or the cat. But if you've got a snake or a rat, you might be able to hide them in your jacket pocket or something like that. And it might be that your captors don't realise that pet is with you. And that could be useful later.